JSA issue 8, Jeff Lemire writing with Gavin Guidry on the art. So yeah, I mean, we've been pretty down on this book. Last issue, well, slightly better. I still don't think was like, you know, anything close to what Lemire can do in this book.
No, but it made me feel good. It didn't annoy me reading it. I like that issue with all the Ted stuff, you know, and making it feel like it mattered.
I mean, well, that's my problem though. Is I don't think it did feel like it made it matter. I feel like it felt unearned, right? It didn't, you know, it didn't land as much as it should have done. I do think this issue is a bit better again. Like, I think, you know, last issue was a bit of an improvement. This issue, again, feels focused. It doesn't feel like it's jumping around all over the place, because it stays, other than a little bit of a tease at the end, it's mostly just in the past, doing this backstory with the JSA going after the Spear of Destiny, or more specifically, try to stop a team of villains from going after the Spear of Destiny. And it's basically setting up whatever the villains are trying to do in present day, because they specifically say in this story, the villains like Sorrow or whoever, like, hey, if we don't do this now, it's going to be 80 years before the stars align again for us to do this. So basically what it turns out they're trying to do is they're trying to like unleash a bunch of Cthulhu like cosmic god monsters onto Earth. That's what they're trying to do.
They are the old ones, and that's what I'm going to call them. I'm not going to remember their names, but they are the old ones from H.P. Lovecraft mythology.
Yeah. Can I just say, so I love the designs of these, right? And I love that this is what they're trying to do, right? They've all got tentacles, they've all got like mouth anus things with teeth, right? All that's great. Later on though, they called them the Nameless ones, but I'm like, there's a page in the book where you give them all names. They all have names. Now, I can't pronounce any of the names, to be fair, but they all have names.
And that's why, like, the unnamed one sounds like such a good trope, right? Like, these are gods so horrific that we cannot name them. But then Lemire gives us their names.
Yeah, they're all labeled. I'm going to try and pronounce them, okay? We've got Aburisil, we've got Nihilu, we've got Ukobath, and we've got Moriah Bo, I think.
Moriah Bo. Is that an H or a K?
Oh, I think there's a D in there. There's a D. It's Morabdu. I can't.
Moria. Yeah, I don't know. Nihilu sounds like Cthulhu's little brother, who just wants to hang around. So, yeah. What you get? JSA versus the old ones? Cool. Give them a better name than the unnamed ones, Lemire. Come on, man.
I mean, to be honest, this being what the Injustice Society or whatever the team's calling themselves these days, this being what they're trying to do, I don't hate. I actually kind of like it, but it's just it's impressive just how little I give a shit though with that entire first arc, because it was so fragmented, it was so all over the place. Like, they just, you know, we've talked to death. I mean, I think me and Connor went on for a long time last time trying to like restructure the whole thing to make it work. So I don't want to do that again, because we'll be beating the same, you know, dead horse. But
I do like there's some aspects in here that Lemire uses. So like they make Ted the one that sees them, right?
Yes.
So when Wotan's holding up the Spear of Destiny, he gets the vision, and we see it in his eyes because his eyes are lit up on the previous page, and then that's where we get them all named. And then later, when it's Wotan talking about like them coming to Earth, right? It's the same kind of page where we see his eyes glow, and then we see that vision. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like, I like the way that they showed that.
So, anyway, I mean, I don't really have that much to say, really, other than just the tease of these, like, you know, giant Cthulhu-like gods is kind of interesting. That's, you know, that's the main thing.
Can we write Lemire and make a collective effort as Comics from the Multiverse and the fans of Comics from the Multiverse to just keep his JSA in the past? Because I love seeing the JSA mess up those Nazi superheroes. Well, they're not superheroes. Nazi villains, right? The superpowered ones, you know, early on, because they're the distraction from, you know, the Spear of Destiny and stuff. Like, just he's really good at this part. And I did not get annoyed reading this one that was too spread out, too many characters. It was very focused, you know. All the issues that I had in the past, I haven't had in the last two. So it makes it for a more enjoyable read.
Yeah, it's still not up to what it could be, though. Like, it's still not achieving what a Lemire JSA book seemed like it could be on paper. But, you know, like, you know, we jump 80 years ahead. Wotan's there with a Cobra Lady, and she's like, "Hey, is it time?" He's like, "Yeah, we got the Helmet of Fate. That'll predict where we're, when we can do all this." So we get a nice big full page spread again, but this time it's the monsters in the sky and like there's just destruction on the ground and the JSA are all lying about dead. So it's like, okay, this is what we're building to. Wotan's got his big MacGuffin device ready to, open the portal, the gateway. But yeah, I mean, like I think this is a fine build up. I like what it's teasing. The action between the JSA and the Nazi villains it was just solid enough. The Black Hawks show up at one point to help with the fighter pilots, and it's all decent enough. It read very quick. It was pleasant enough. It's definitely the best issue of this book so far. It still doesn't make me convinced that I'm going to love what it's going to do next, just because like Lemire sadly here has to earn my excitement back, and right now I just can't feel excited, even though this was better than any of the previous issues.
I'm looking at the cover for the next one. It just got Obsidian and the rest of them on there. And I'm like, oh no, we're back to jumping around. I feel like.
Oh, it may not be.
So
it depends.
It may not be, but yeah.
There is one reference to everything else that's going on, which is fine. It's where I think it's at the end of the book. It must be the present day stuff where they mention looking for Dr. Midnight because she could expose Sorrow, who's obviously pretending to be Obsidian right now. So they do make a small reference to that at the end. But yeah, and the art's decent enough for sure. Like I think the big moments are good. Admittedly, it is a little bit of a shame that it's such a. I don't mean this sound like as a big negative per se. But, Guidry is a very sort of competent house style type of artist, and I couldn't help but feel that this page, for example, with all these Cthulhu-like, old ones, that if you gave me someone who was a bit more ethereal, like someone who's a bit scratchier, someone who is like a, who am I thinking of?
I think like the artist just did for that Green Lantern Dark book that we're reading.
Yeah, that would be a great pick, or a Montos even, or someone who does like a more painted, scratchy, or like sort of bleeding style. Like I feel like something a bit more otherworldly looking would look. Even the artist on Resurrection Man, which we're going to talk about soon. Yeah, like that. That's the type of art I think would have really hit these creatures.
They're a bit too clean, even for because you got Mike Mignola who does a lot of this stuff with Hellboy. Right, but he makes it work with his style when he wants to do these big, scary looking monsters.
He tends to be very like he'll use the shadows a lot. He'll use darkness to try and make them a bit more creepy. Yeah,
right, but it's still the clean kind of styles, So yeah, I get where you're coming from on that one. Guidry's a little bit too clean for something that monstrous.
Yeah,
which is why I think the JSA stuff works really well when it's not the monsters. So, but yeah.
Yeah, all right. Obviously, the JSA stopped them in the past from unleashing this, and that's why 80 years later they're trying again. So,
the named unnamed ones.
Yes. All right, Matt. What are you giving JSA?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
I'll just go with a 7. I think. Yeah, I'll go with a 7.